How's it going, everybody? Marla Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback, and we are now looking at the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 32. This issue came out in January of 1966, and today we are continuing this storyline where we have Aunt May, who is very ill. She's in the hospital. We're going to find out exactly what the doctors found out from last issue. What have they discovered about Aunt May's health? We'll discover that in this issue. As we look at the cover here, we're looking at Spider-Man just tearing up the city. So we're going to find out why exactly he's tearing up the city. And we will also find out the secret identity of the Master Planner. A lot of things happening in this issue. I'm glad you're here. Go ahead, give this video a big O like, and let's go ahead and get started. So as always, this is brought to you by Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, and Artie Simek. And today's title is Man on a Rampage. As we looked at the cover for this issue, Spider-Man is on a rampage, and we'll find out why he's on a rampage. So we start out the issue right off the bat, and we're going to see exactly who the Master Planner is. And if you look right off the bat, it is none other than Dr. Octopus. Now, we haven't seen Dr. Octopus since Amazing Spider-Man Annual 1. And so it's been quite some time since we've seen Dr. Octopus, and somehow he's gotten out of prison, and he is the Master Planner. And we come to find out that he's been sending all of these guys who have been dressed in purple, as we've seen in the last couple of issues. Their main goal is to acquire these atomic devices for radiation purposes. Because we see right here, Dr. Octopus wants to test these, I guess, radiation devices so that he can take over the world. And so that's what he needs. He needs this atomic equipment, and he's using these guys to get the equipment for his own experiments. Now we also cut to right here, we have Peter Parker. We still have the drama going on between Peter Parker and Betty Brant. Betty Brant is still confused as to why Peter Parker is giving her the cold shoulder. As we recall back in issue number 30, we remembered that Betty Brant had told Peter Parker that she can't stand Spider-Man and she would never marry anyone who is a vigilante. And we know that Peter Parker is a vigilante. So he cannot tell her without letting her find out that he is Spider-Man. So he has to do the one thing he hates to do. So he causes a big ruckus in the offices of the Daily Bugle. We have Ned Leeds here. Ned Leeds tries his best to calm Peter Parker down. So Peter Parker loses his temper here, tries to do his best to get Betty Brant to hate him. And we see right here that it gets the attention of Jameson here. And so Jameson confronts Peter Parker. He's like, what are you up to? I never thought that you would be a rough type. And then he looks at Peter Parker's photos, says they're worthless. So it's just not looking like a good day for Peter Parker here. Betty Brant catches on. She says, I know that you've pretty much are trying to fool me, but you can't fool me. I realize this is all an act. Please confide in me. Please tell me what's going on. Peter Parker still can't reveal to her the truth, because if he did, he's afraid it would hurt her, and plus he doesn't want her to worry about him, because if she ever found out that he was Spider-Man, she would have a lot to worry about, because she still cares for Peter Parker. Now let's go ahead and find out what exactly happened to Aunt May. Why is she so ill? We come to find out through this doctor, as Peter Parker visits the hospital, that Aunt May has a radioactive particle into her blood. So Peter Parker comes to realize how this happened. Way back, I believe in issue 19, is either 18 or 19, when she was ill, that during that time, Peter Parker made a blood transfusion, and some of that radioactive blood got into her bloodstream, and this is why Aunt May is so ill. And so this is going to be pretty much the basis of the storyline for the rest of this issue. Peter Parker is going to have to find a way to save Aunt May. He's feeling guilty not only for the death of Uncle Ben, but now he's afraid he might be guilty for the death of Aunt May as well. So a lot of great storytelling here by Stan Lee, a lot of conflict, which makes this issue really great. So he gets this great idea. Hey, I know one scientist who I need to contact, and that's Dr. Kurt Connors. Remember, Kurt Connors was the lizard way back in issue number 6. So he tries to phone call Kurt Connors. He remembers that he was living in Florida at the time that he was the lizard. He comes to find out that Kurt Connors has moved to New York, which is just great because that's where Peter Parker lives. So Spider-Man comes on the scene, takes a sample of Aunt May's blood, and then travels all the way to Kurt Connors' lab. He finally finds Kurt Connors. Kurt Connors is grateful for what Spider-Man did for him in issue number 6. He still recalls how Spider-Man saved him from being a pretty much human lizard. So go back and watch that review. I did that way back in the day. And so we have here that Spider-Man and Kurt Connors are going to team up, and Kurt Connors reveals that there is one chance to save Spider-Man's friend, and that is using this, what we call ISO 36. And that's exactly what Spider-Man needs to get. And so pretty much we have Kurt Connors, he's going to call these people to pretty much ship this ISO 36 to the West Coast so that Spider-Man can collect it. And Spider-Man said that he would get as much money as possible to pay for the serum. So we see Peter Parker here. He sells all of his science equipment, all his valuables, everything that he loves for the sake of his aunt's health. That shows pretty much good heroism from Peter Parker here, that he's willing to risk it all for the life of the one that he loves the most. That's Aunt May. He returns back with the money. So we see right here how Spider-Man is using all these lab, like he's an expert in the lab, as we know that Peter Parker is a science major, and Kurt Connors is like, you must not be a full-time Spider-Man. So we come to find out that not only is ISO 36 coming to the West Coast, but now we have Dr. Octopus, who also knows that the ISO 36 is coming to the West Coast as well, because his henchman tells him. So now not only does Spider-Man want it, but now Dr. Octopus is wanting that ISO 36 for his experiments. So that's going to play a great deal here as we see that his henchmen attack the guy that's carrying the ISO 36, steals it from the airport, and now Kurt Connors gets word of it. Spider-Man is furious as he says that the master planner has gone way too far. So this is where we see Spider-Man is on the hunt for the master planner. Where is his hideout? He grabs a hold of Frederick Foswell, because remember Frederick Foswell used to be a crook as well. He asked him to get any leads as to where the master planner might be, and while he waits to hear from Frederick Foswell, he pretty much crashes every underworld gang that you can think of, trying to get as much information as possible. But as he's doing this, we come to find out Aunt May is sinking lower and lower in her health. She's going to go into a coma soon, and there's just nothing that these doctors can do. And so now Spider-Man is, just every second counts. He's trying his best to find out where exactly is the master planner. Dr. Kurt Connors is getting worried as well, saying he needs to hurry up. Spider-Man needs to hurry up and get this serum, or it may be too late. So Spider-Man finally gets to the last place he can think of, but it's a deserted place. But all of a sudden, by stroke of luck, he comes across the secret trap door, and it leads to the master planner's hideout here. And so we see great action here. Spider-Man just tackling all of Dr. Octopus's henchmen here, and he is like a man on fire. He is just fighting like a wild man here. He takes on these group of dozens henchmen here. He leaps right into the secret trap door. And so here we go. We're going to finally see Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man meet once again for the first time since annual 1 here, number 1 of Spider-Man. We haven't seen these two fight each other in quite some time. And so Spider-Man comes to realize that the master planner is none other than Dr. Octopus. So Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus go head to head here in one great battle. And as Spider-Man is fighting Dr. Octopus realizes that Spider-Man is fighting like a wild man. He's fighting because he's fighting for a purpose here. He's fighting for his aunt's life. And while Spider-Man throws this big chunk of, it looks like of a wall, he throws it right at Dr. Octopus, but it causes the iron upper level units to start to collapse. And so this is going to cause a great confusion here. See all of this rubble to start to fall right on Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus. It looks like it's going to be the end for both of them. We don't know what exactly happened to Dr. Octopus. We don't know if he got killed, he got crushed. We don't know exactly what happened. And then we see this big old looking ominous rubble start going right towards Spider-Man, and it looks like Spider-Man is just about to be crushed. He tries to use his webbing, but it's like trying to stop a battleship. That's what he says, like trying to use a slingshot to stop a battleship. So Spider-Man is trapped under this big old looking wall here, bunch of rubble, and he sees the ISO 36 way off in the distance, and he can't crawl through. He can't lift this thing because it's like lifting a big car. I mean, it's huge, and he's tired, he's worn out, he's used up pretty much all of his energy, and on top of that, we see a big leak. And so the more that this leak comes, we have the water droplets getting bigger and bigger, and sooner or later, this place is going to be flooded. And we know that the ISO 36's potency is going to wear off soon, so Spider-Man has to do something. He has to get out of this predicament. But how is he going to get out of this predicament? And Aunt May's health is continuing to go down. We have the concern of Curt Connors. We have the threat of Dr. Octopus's henchmen. What can Spider-Man do? What can Spider-Man do to get out of this predicament? Can he get out of this predicament? We'll find out next issue. Will he be able to get the ISO 36 in time to save Aunt May's health? We will find out in issue number 33. So don't go away, because we are about to see the conclusion to this great storyline. Go ahead, subscribe if you have not, and we will see you in issue number 36.